guys, it's Lisa with Quilting in the Valley, and we are going to talk about and demonstrate how you're going to use one of the June Taylor Quilt As You Go table runner kits. There are also June Taylor Quilt As You Go Christmas stockings, Quilt As You Go Christmas tree skirts, Quilt As You Go tote bags. There's casserole, there's a casserole cover, all kinds of June Taylor Quilt As You Go stuff. In addition, there's a whole bunch of Gudrun Erla patterns, GE patterns that are Quilt As You Go, specifically table runner patterns. We're going to work on this one right here, which is the Venice table runner. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to get out your foundation piece. So this is what's included in the package, is this piece of batting that has all the numbers on it. It's like sewing by number. The first thing you're going to do is get that out of there, rough cut it, make sure that you cut outside the outside edges. So you don't want to trim up to your outside edge. You want to have extra on the outside. Then you're gonna spray baste this nice and flat down to your backing fabric. So choose a backing fabric you like and get it spray basted down to the very edges. Then you're gonna figure out where your number one is. So here's my number one right here. And you'll see that number one is kind of a triangular shaped piece, but the cutting directions, which are very clear, the cutting directions tell you exactly what to cut for every piece in this table runner. So I've cut a 2.5 inch square for this table runner. How's that going to fit in that triangle? Very easily, because the lines on here are your placement lines, not your stitch lines. You think about it, if you put the fabric over the top of the line, how would you see to stitch on it anyway? So you're going to put your fabric down on the placement line. So my 2.5 inch square, I'm nudging it right up into that placement line. And then I'm going to take piece number 2. Piece number 2 is, for this one, 2.5 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to put that right on top. You see 2 is here, and I'm going to line it right up on top of piece number 1 on the placement line. Now, one thing I'm going to talk to you about that makes this so much nicer on the back is bringing up your threads before you start stitching. You can just start stitching on here, but you're going to have all those loose thread ends on the back if you do that, and it's just not as clean. So we are going to start, like I said, with piece number 1 and piece number 2. And I'm going to pin them together so that they don't budge on me. I'm going to roll up my backing so that I don't have a great big piece that I'm trying to work with. And I'm going to come right in here. This one's on the outer edge, so I'm not going to bother with bringing up my thread to start. I'm going to stitch with my 1/4 inch seam. In there. Oh, I'm not threaded. I'm gonna thread my sewing machine first. How about them apples? That would be helpful. It actually was threaded, but I think I unthreaded it. There we go. Okay, let's start that again. Okay. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do my 1/4 inch seam. And when I get to the end, here's where I'm going to bring up my bobbin thread, and it'll just make it much cleaner on the back. So I'm going to go down. Bring that up. And I'm going to cut that right there. I don't have to bury it because I'm inside my seam allowances here. Okay. Now, the very next step, I'm going to take that pin out. I'm going to slide this up. I'm going to finger press. may have had that overlapped a smidge too much, but that's okay. It'll work out. Now I'm going to take piece number 3. See how I'm lined up here? Piece number 3 goes there. So I'm going to take piece number 3 and I'm going to line it up on the next piece. I'll pin it so that things don't move. And this time I'm starting inside my quilt sandwich, so this time I am going to bring my bobbin thread up before I start stitching. So I'll go down to where my seam is. I'm going to hold on to my top thread. And I'm going to needle down and needle up. And then I should be able to just pull that bobbin thread right up. And then I won't have a little knot or anything on the back. It'll be nice and clean. Except I don't think I got it. I didn't. Darn it. Do that again. There, I got him. Okay. So that the whole back will just be cleaner when I do this. All right. And now I'm going to stitch right down that. I'm at the outside edges, so I don't have to worry about bringing my bobbin thread up there. And I'll flip this over and show you what I mean in just a second here so that you can see what I'm talking about. But that was piece number 3, so I'll finger press that out. And now I have piece number 4, which will lay right up here. And again, I'm starting in my quilt sandwich. So I'm going to bring my bobbin thread up just to make everything copacetic. Okay. Stitching right down. And I'm in the middle of my quilt sandwich again, so now I'm going to bring my bobbin thread up again. It's tedious, but you guys, it makes the back so much more polished. Okay. Got the top up there. And I cut that off, and now I'm going to finger press this out. Okay, and let me show you the back. See how I've got, this is where I pulled my thread up. See how there's no extra anything right in here? This is outside the seam allowance. So if I had not pulled my thread up, this is what it would look like. This is outside where I'm going to trim. This is where I started in on the quilt sandwich, but I pulled my thread up, so it looks very clean and neat. That, not so much. This is fine when you're outside your seam allowance, but when you're in the middle of your quilt, you want to make sure that that is what it looks like. Okay, we'll do one more strip so you get the idea, but obviously this is pretty doggone easy. And your quilting is done in one step with this process. So when you get to the outside edge, all you're going to do is trim this square and bind it, and you're done. So this makes for a very nice project. And if you're somebody who is a little leery about stitching the ditch or free motion quilting, and you know you'd like something that's just a little more professional looking without having to pay for it, this might be the neatest technique you ever tried. way, and to get that bobbin thread up, you're just needle up, needle down, and then pulling it up and out of the way. And so there I have step number 5. And you can see how quickly this will go. You're just finger pressing this into place with each successive piece. It's about as easy as you can get, and your piecing will come out just perfectly. And it looks really professional. And it's done by the time you finish piecing, which is always a bonus. Brought up my bobbin thread. Bringing up my bobbin thread again. So I just pull on both sides, and there it comes right up. And off I go. So you guys can see how quickly this goes and how easy this is to do. It's just one step at a time, so long as you follow those cutting directions and your pieces are all cut the right way, then the back will look just like this. If you're bringing up your bobbin thread, you'll have a very neat and tidy back. Your quilting will be done. And before you know it, you'll have a finished table runner. So this is just one example of the June Taylor Quilt As You Go table runner sets that we have. It's also something that you can do on your own with a Gudrun Erla design. She gives you the directions to draw the lines on the batting. So you get your batting and you draw your own lines following her directions for her patterns. It's a very easy technique to do. It's kind of fun, goes kind of quickly, and you end up with a really neat project at the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out our website. You'll find all kinds of versions of June Taylor Quilt As You Go projects on our website. See you next time. We said Quilting in the Valley.